You open the app. Again. Not to message. Not to call. Just to see if they're still there. The screen glows. Their story loads. A fleeting moment, and you're back in the loop. You know it cuts. You know it pulls. Yet your thumb moves like it's not yours. Each tap, a silent plea. Not for them. For something you can't name. Why do you keep looking when every glance tightens the knot? You tell yourself it's harmless. Just a check. Just a moment. But moments stack and moments trap. Is it love or just a reflex you can't break? You're not chasing them. You're chasing a version of you. One that doesn't ache. Each scroll, another crack in the system. Not loud, not seen, but felt. The weight grows, heavier than their absence. You don't notice until the quiet moments hit, when the phone is down, when the room is still. That's when you feel it. The slow bleed of control. The cost isn't them, it's you, slipping further from your own center. Epictetus said, "You don't lose what was never yours." They were a moment, not your anchor. They're leaving, not a theft, just a return to the world, to time, to what moves without your grip. Hold that thought. Let it sit. It doesn't soften the pain. It doesn't need to. When you pause, what do you see? A wound or a choice? You think you're holding on, but the pain holds you. Every check, every glance, another thread in the loop. You're not stuck because they left. You're stuck because you keep returning to a door that's already closed. There's a moment before you react, a breath before you scroll. That's where it starts. Not with them, not with words, with you and the choice to stay still. You think one message will end it, will free you. One sentence to explain why you're still here. You type, delete, type again. It feels like control, like clarity, like the weight will lift if they just understand. That's what you tell yourself each time your fingers hover over the screen. But every word you send tightens the loop. You're not explaining, you're chasing. Not them, but a moment that's already gone. You think their reply will close the wound. It won't. Each tap, another step, deeper into the pain you're trying to escape. Freedom isn't in their words. It's in your silence. You don't need their answer to be whole. Principle 1. The trap of chasing closure. You draft a text, fingers trembling, not to win them back, not to fight, just to know why. Why they left, why it ended, why you weren't enough. The screen glows, words form. You think this will end it. One message, and the fog will clear. You tell yourself it's not about them, it's about you finding peace. But each letter you type pulls you deeper into the loop, into the pain. You're not seeking answers. You're chasing a ghost, a version of truth that doesn't exist. The cost isn't in their silence. It's in your system, fraying. Every unsent text, every deleted draft chips away at your self-command. You don't see it until the quiet hits. When the phone is down, when the room is still, that's when the weight lands. Not their absence, but your own. You're not whole because you keep reaching for a door that's already locked. Epictetus said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." You don't need their reasons to move, their words, their motives. They're not your anchor. You chase closure, but closure is a trap. It's just another way to hold on to a story that's already over. Stop. Put the phone down. Lock the screen. Not forever, Just now. One breath, one pause. That's the override. Don't explain. Don't justify. Let the urge pass. Like a wave you don't have to ride. You don't need their truth to find yours. You don't owe them, or yourself, a single word. The urge to explain, it lingers. Like a pulse you can't ignore. But there's a moment before you act. A crack in the reflex. That's where the next truth waits. Principle 2. The weight of old messages. The chat is still there, buried in your phone. You don't open it every day, but sometimes, late at night, you do. Not to reply, not to relive, just to read. To trace the words that once meant something. You tell yourself it's harmless, a glance backward. But each line you reread pulls you under, into regret, into what was. You're not looking for them. You're looking for you, the one who felt alive in those moments. But every scroll deepens the cut. Not loud, not sudden. A slow bleed of presents you don't notice until the screen locks, until the silence lands. That's when you feel it, the weight of carrying a past that no longer fits. It's not the words that hurt, it's the space they take in your system. Each memory you cling to, another anchor keeping you from the now. Marcus Aurelius said, "Time is a river. What is gone is gone." Those messages, they're not your story anymore. They're echoes, not truths. You keep them, thinking they hold meaning. But meaning isn't in the past. It's in what you choose, right here. Delete them, not out of anger, not to erase, but to release. One tap, one swipe, let them go. Like leaves on the river. If you can't delete, close the app. Turn the phone over. Breathe through the pull. That's the break. That's the moment you take back. Pain doesn't mean truth. Your hand hesitates over the screen. The urge to look back, it's strong. But there's another weight, waiting to be seen. Principle 3. The illusion of control. You open their story, just to know, not to feel, not to hurt, just to stay informed. Their life, their moments, flicker across your screen. You tell yourself, it's nothing. A quick check, a way to keep the chaos at bay. You think you're in control, watching from a distance. But each view pulls you closer, not to them, but to anxiety, to the loop you swore you'd left. The cost isn't in what you see, it's in what you lose each time you look. Your center frays, your breath shortens. You don't notice until the story ends, until the screen goes dark. That's when the truth lands. You're not controlling the pain. The pain is controlling you through every tap, every refresh. Seneca said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Their life, their choices, they're not yours to hold. You check, thinking it grounds you. It doesn't. It scatters you, piece by piece. Don't open it. Not today, not now. Lock the phone. Set it down. Let the urge pass, like a cloud you don't chase. That's the override. That's the moment you stay still and take back what's yours. Stillness is enough. The screen stays dark, but the pull remains. Another reflex, another trap, waits in the silence. Principle 4. The knot of attachment. Your mind drifts to their laugh, their voice, the way they looked at you once. Not every day, but in quiet moments, it comes. You don't call, you don't text, but you hold those memories tight, like a rope wrapped around your chest. You think they keep you whole, that they're part of you. But each time you grip, the knot tightens. Not around them, around your own emptiness. The cost isn't in remembering, it's in what you build, with every thought you linger on. A cage, not a home. Each memory, a brick in the wall that keeps you from breath. You don't see it until the room grows heavy, until the silence presses. That's when you feel it. Not connection, but a slow fade of presence. Imagine a rope, knotted tight. You pull, it binds. You let go, it falls. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power to loose yourself from what binds." Those moments, they're not your strength, they're your weight. Holding them doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you trapped. Release the image, not with force, not with anger. Just open your hands. Let the memory pass, like a breeze you don't chase. Picture it fading, not gone, just not yours. That's the break. That's where you begin to unhook. Let go isn't weakness. The rope falls, but the instinct to grip lingers. Another pattern waits to be undone. Principle 5. The shadow of rejection. You walk through the day, smiling, nodding, fine. But in the quiet, it creeps in. The moment they turned away, the silence that followed. Not a word, not a glance, just nothing. You tell yourself it's over. You're past it. But the sting lingers. Not loud, not sharp, but heavy. Rejection, like a shadow you can't outrun. You think if you were enough, they'd have stayed. The cost isn't in their leaving. It's in what you carry after. Each time you replay that moment, you build a story, not of them, but of you. A story of lack, of shame, of not being enough. It grows, not in words, but in the weight behind your eyes. You don't see it until you're alone, until the mask falls. That's when it hits. You're not running from them. You're running from yourself. Epictetus said, "You bear God within you, and you do not know it." Their choice, their silence, it's not your measure. You think rejection defines you. It doesn't. It's just a moment, not your truth. You carry the weight because you choose to. Step back. Look at the thought, not through it. Their silence, it's theirs, not yours. Breathe. Slow. Stand in the quiet, not as a victim, but as a witness. That's the override. That's where you take back your center. You don't owe anything. A man sits by the sea, watching waves crash. Each one comes, each one goes. He doesn't chase them. He doesn't mourn them. He just sees. The shadow fades when you stop running. Principle 6. The cycle of explaining. You catch yourself mid-thought. If you could just say it one more time, if you could make them see what it cost you, not to fight, not to beg, just to be heard. You draft the words in your head, on your phone, in the shower. They're perfect, sharp, true. You think, this time, they'll get it. This time, the pain will lift. But each word you rehearse binds you tighter, not to them, but to the need to explain. The cost isn't in their silence, it's in your voice, lost to avoid. Every explanation you craft steals your breath. It's not clarity you're building, it's a cage. You don't see it until the words fade, until you're left with the same ache, heavier now. That's when it lands. You're not speaking to them, you're pleading with a ghost. Seneca said, We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your need to explain. It's not truth. It's a reflex, a loop you feed. Their understanding. It's not your freedom. Your silence is. Don't speak. Don't type. Let the words dissolve like ash in the wind. Stand still. Breathe. Let the urge pass. That's the break. That's where you unhook from the cycle that never ends. Silence isn't surrender. The urge to speak, it fades. But another pull waits in the quiet. Another loop to break. Principle 7. The lure of hope. You sit, staring out the window. Their face, their voice, they flicker. Not as pain, not as loss, but as a maybe. Maybe they'll reach out. Maybe they'll see you differently. Maybe the story isn't over. You don't say it, you don't plan it, but you hold it, this faint hope, like a candle in the dark. You think it keeps you warm, keeps you whole. But each flicker burns deeper, not into them, but into your stillness. The cost isn't in the waiting, it's in what you give to a future that's not yours. Every maybe, every what if, it pulls you from the now. You don't notice until the day feels empty, until your breath feels borrowed. That's when you see it. Hope isn't light, it's weight, a chain you choose to carry. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Their return, their change. It's not your ground. You hold hope, thinking it saves you. It doesn't. It scatters you into a story that's already written. Let the maybe fade. Not with force, not with anger. Just let it go. Picture it, dissolving, like mist in the morning. Breathe, slow, stand in the quiet. That's the override. That's where you take back your presence. The void is where it clears. A man once stood watching a ship sail away. He didn't call out, he didn't wave, he just turned. The sea was still, and so was he. Another choice waits in the silence. Principle 8. The pull of regret. You lie awake, the room dark, their name a whisper in your mind. Not their face, not their voice, but the moment you failed, the words you didn't say, the choice you didn't make. You replay it again and again. You think if you could go back, you'd fix it. You'd be enough. Regret. It's not loud. It's heavy, sinking into your chest, like a stone you can't lift. The cost isn't in the past. It's in the present. Stolen. Every replay, every if only, it chains you to a moment that's gone. You don't see it until the night stretches, until your breath slows. That's when it hits. You're not mourning them. You're mourning you. The you who thinks it's broken. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, to cease worrying about things beyond our power." Regret. It's not truth, it's a reflex, a story you tell yourself. The past. It's not your ground. Your power is here, now. Don't rewrite the moment. Don't chase the fix. Close your eyes, breathe, let the stone sink without you. That's the break. That's where you witness, not judge, your own mind. You can end without drama. The stone settles, but the mind still stirs. Another reflex waits to be seen. Principle 9. The mask of stability. You move through the day, steady, meetings, emails, gym. You smile, you nod, you're fine. But in the quiet, the mask slips. Their absence, it's not loud. It's a hum behind your eyes. You don't cry, you don't rage, you just carry it. You think you're past it. You think you're in control, holding it together. But each step, each forced smile, tightens the grip. Not of them, but of numbness. The cost isn't in the act. It's in the silence you don't allow. Every moment you suppress, you lose a piece of presence. You don't notice until the day ends. Until you're alone, and the hum grows louder. That's when you feel it. You're not stable. You're hiding from the pain you won't name. Seneca said, "There is no benefit in refusing to acknowledge what hurts. Stability, it's not a mask. It's not pretending. It's facing what's there. You think you're strong by staying busy. You're not. You're running from the quiet you need. Stop. Sit with the hum. Let it rise. Let it speak. Don't push it down. Don't cover it. Breathe through the weight. That's the override. That's where you find your ground. Sitting with it is power too." A woman once stood in a crowded room. She smiled. She spoke. But her hands trembled. No one saw. She did. The mask, it's heavy. But the truth waits beneath. Principle 10. The loop of comparison. You see their post. A new city. A new smile. Not yours. Not anymore. You don't linger, but you compare. Your life to theirs. Your quiet to their light. You think it's just a glance, a moment to measure. But each thought pulls you in. Not to them, but to a race you can't win. You're not chasing them. You're chasing a version of you that doesn't exist. The cost isn't in their joy. It's in your ground slipping. Every comparison builds a shadow, not of them, but of shame, of lack. You don't notice until the screen dims, until the silence lands. That's when you feel it. You're not living. You're judging your own life through their lens. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not others' lives. Their path, their moments, they're not your measure. You compare, thinking it shows you truth. It doesn't. It steals your presence, drop by drop. Close the app. Turn away from the screen, from the thought. Stand still. Breathe. See your life as it is. Not less, not more. That's the break. That's where you take back your center. You don't have to react. The shadow fades, but the mind still drifts. Another pull waits in the quiet. Principle 11. The burden of their silence. You check your phone. No message. No call. Just nothing. You don't expect it. Not really. But you look again. There's silence. It's not loud. It's heavy, like a stone in your chest. You think you're fine. You think you've moved on. But each glance, each empty screen pulls you back. Not to them, but to the question, why weren't you enough? The cost isn't in their absence. It's in what you carry in their place. Every check, every pause, it builds a weight, not of loss, but of doubt. You don't see it until the day grows still, until the quiet presses. That's when you feel it. Their silence. It's not about you, but you make it yours. Epictetus said, "What need is there to take on what isn't ours?" Their silence, their choice. It's not your burden. You carry it, thinking it defines you. It doesn't. It's just a moment, not your truth. Put the phone down. Not forever. Just now. Breathe. Slow. Let the question fade, like a ripple on water. That's the override. That's where you release what was never yours. Detachment is a form of respect. Seneca once wrote to a friend in grief. He didn't offer answers. He offered silence and a reminder. The weight you carry, you can set it down. Another choice waits in the pause. Principle 12. The temptation to please. You think of them in a fleeting moment, what they'd think of your choices, your life now. You don't act, you don't reach out, but you adjust subtly. A word you say, a step you take, shaped by their shadow. You tell yourself it's nothing, just a habit, a reflex. But each time you bend, you please, not them, but a ghost. You're not living, you're performing for an audience that's gone. The cost isn't in their approval, it's in your ground, eroded. Every adjustment, every shift, it pulls you from your center. You don't notice until the day feels off, until your breath feels tight. That's when you see it. You're not free. You're tethered to a need that doesn't serve you. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is enough to do your work and to be just. Their thoughts, their judgment, they're not your measure. You please, thinking it keeps you safe. It doesn't. It scatters you into fragments of someone else's story." Stop. Stand still. Breathe. Ask, who is this for? Let the urge pass, like a cloud you don't chase. That's the break. That's where you take back your presence. You don't owe anything. The need to please, it lingers. But another reflex waits to be undone. Principle 13. The fog of overthinking. You sit alone. The room still. Their name, their choice. It swirls, not as anger, not as pain, but as a question. Why did they leave? What did you miss? What could you have done? You turn it over, again and again. You think you're solving, searching for truth, but each thought thickens the fog. Not of them, but of overthink, clouding your clarity. The cost isn't in the questions, it's in the time. Stolen. Every spiral, every loop, it pulls you from the now. You don't notice until the hours blur, until your breath grows shallow. That's when you feel it. You're not finding answers. You're losing yourself to a maze with no end. Seneca said, "You must linger only on what you can act upon. Their reasons, their motives, they're not your ground. You overthink. Thinking it brings you closer. It doesn't. It scatters you into fragments of a story you can't rewrite." Close your eyes. Breathe. Slow. Let the question rise, then fall. Don't chase it. Don't fight it. Just witness. That's the override. That's where you break the fog. Pain doesn't mean truth. A man once sat, staring at a puzzle, pieces scattered. He didn't solve it. He didn't need to. He stood and walked away. The fog lifts when you stop searching. Principle 14. The anchor of grief. You feel it in the quiet. Not a storm, not a scream, but a weight. Grief, like an anchor, pulling you down. Not every day, but in moments. A song, a place, their name. It triggers. You don't fight it. You don't cry. You just carry it. You think it's part of you now. That letting it go means letting them go. So you hold tight to the ache. The cost isn't in the feeling. It's in the space it takes. Every time you cling, you sink deeper into isolation. You don't notice until the world feels distant, until your breath feels heavy. That's when you see it. Grief isn't them, It's you choosing to stay in the shadow of what was. Seneca said, "Let your tears flow, but let them also cease." Grief, it's not your truth. It's a visitor, not your home. You hold it, thinking it honors them. It doesn't. It binds you to a past that's no longer yours. Sit with it, not against it. Breathe. Through the weight, let it pass, like a wave you don't ride. That's the override. That's where you release and find your ground. Stillness is enough. The anchor lifts, but the tide still pulls. Another reflex waits to be broken. Principle 15. The trap of waiting. You pause in the quiet, not acting, not reaching, just waiting for a sign, a message, a moment where they see you again. You don't admit it, not even to yourself. But it's there, a faint pulse. You think if you hold still, if you stay open, something will shift. You call it patience, but it's hope blindly. A trap you set for yourself. The cost isn't in the wait, it's in the life. You pause. Every moment you linger, you lose breath, lose presence. You don't notice until the days blur, until your heart feels borrowed. That's when you feel it. You're not waiting for them. You're waiting for you to feel whole through their return. Marcus Aurelius said, "No man can rob you of your free will. Their silence, their absence. It's not your chain. You wait, thinking it keeps the door open. It doesn't. It locks you in a room with no air. Step back. Breathe. Slow. Let the hope dissolve. Like smoke you don't chase. Move. Not toward them, but toward now. That's the break. That's where you unhook from the trap. You can end without drama. Weak self. What if they come back? Stoic self. What if you're already here? The waiting stops when you choose to move. Principle 16. The illusion of fixing. You catch yourself imagining a conversation, a meeting, a moment where it's undone. You don't plan it? Not really. But the thought creeps in. If you could just say the right thing, do the right thing, it would change. Not to bring them back, but to erase the pain. You think one fix, one perfect move, and the weight lifts. But each scenario you build binds you tighter. Not to them, but to an illusion. You can't let go. The cost isn't in the dream. It's in the reality. You lose. Every time you rewrite the past, you drift from now. You don't notice until the day feels hollow, until your breath feels caught. That's when you see it. You're not fixing. You're breaking your own ground, piece by piece. Epictetus said, "What is done is done." They're leaving your pain. It's not a puzzle to solve. You chase the fix, thinking it frees you. It doesn't. It traps you in a story that's already written. Stop. Let the thought come. Then let it pass. Don't build it. Don't chase it. Breathe. Slow. Stand in the quiet. That's the override. That's where you release what can't be changed. Let go isn't weakness. The illusion fades, but the mind still reaches. Another reflex waits in the silence. Principle 17. The chains of denial. You tell yourself, it's fine. You're over it. You move, work, laugh, like nothing's wrong. But in the quiet, it stirs. A flicker of their name, of the ache. You push it down, fast. You don't want to feel it, don't want to see it. You think, if you keep moving, if you denny, the pain will fade. But each push tightens the chain. Not around them, but around your own breath. The cost isn't in the feeling, it's in the fight. Every time you suppress, you bury a piece of presence. You don't notice until the world feels flat, until your chest feels heavy. That's when you see it. You're not escaping. You're trapping yourself in a lie you don't believe. Seneca said, "You cannot run from what you carry within." Daniel, it's not strength. It's a reflex, a chain you forge. The pain, it's not your enemy. It's just there. You don't need to hide to be whole. Stop. Sit with the flicker. Let it rise. Let it breathe. Don't push. Don't run. Just witness. Slow. Steady. That's the override. That's where you break the chains. Sitting with it is power too. A woman once stood before a mirror. She didn't turn away. She saw the ache and stayed. The chains dissolve when you face them. Principle 18. The cycle of self-blame. You sit alone. The night heavy. They're leaving. It plays again. Not their words, not their face, but you. What you said, what you didn't do, what you could have been. You think it's your fault. If you'd been better, stronger, different, they'd have stayed. You don't say it, but you feel it. Shame like a blade, cutting inward. You think, this is truth. This is why. The cost isn't in the blame, it's in the life you lose. Every time you turn the blade, you carve away presence. You don't notice until the days feel gray, until your breath feels borrowed. That's when you see it, you're not learning. You're punishing yourself for a choice that wasn't yours alone. Epictetus said, "You are not responsible for what is not in your power." They're leaving. Their reasons. They're not your burden. You blame, thinking it explains. It doesn't. It binds you to a story of lack that isn't true. Stop. Breathe. Slow. Look at the thought, not through it. You are not the fault. You are the choice. Let the blade fall, like a weight you don't need. That's the override. That's where you witness and stand free. You don't owe anything. The blade drops, but the mind still turns. One last reflex waits in the quiet. Principle 19. The void of avoidance. You keep busy, moving, always moving. Work, friends, noise, anything to fill the space. You don't think of them, not on purpose. But the quiet, it scares you. The moment you stop, the moment you're alone, it rises. The ache, the loss, the void. So you run, not with your feet, but with your mind. You avoid, thinking it protects you. But each step widens the gap, not from them, but from yourself. The cost isn't in the motion, it's in the truth you lose. Every time you dodge, you drift from ground. You don't notice until the noise fades, until the silence lands heavy. That's when you feel it. You're not escaping. You're erasing your own presence, one distraction at a time. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." The void, it's not your enemy, it's your mirror. You avoid, thinking it saves you. It doesn't. It scatters you into a life you don't live. Stop. Sit in the quiet. Let the ache rise. Let it breathe. Don't run. Don't fill it. Just be here. That's the override. That's where you find your center. The void, is where it clears. The quiet settles, and the truth remains. A final moment waits to be seen. The phone lies face down, silent. The room still. No hum, no glow. Just your breath, slow, steady. You didn't check, didn't text, didn't chase. The urge came, and you let it pass. That pause, that silence, it wasn't empty. It was yours, a moment you claimed. You didn't react. This time, the weight, it's still there, but lighter, not gone, but seen. You stood in the quiet, not running, not hiding. That's where it shifts. Not in their words, not in their return, but in your presence, here, now. When you chose not to reach, was it strength or just a breath? You don't need to answer. Not now, not ever. Stillness is where you begin.